David's background is working directly and indirectly with the elderly, both in his capacity at several universities teaching, both gerontology and a number of other topics related to aging. He is a licensed nursing home administrator, has run a nursing home, so he understands the 2 o'clock in the morning calls, and is a remarkable person with a great story. So with that, I will turn it over to David.
Thank you. Hi, good morning. I use this for balance, that's all, because I got neuropathy on the bottom of my feet from chemo, and so you can't feel your feet every now and then, so you'll move your body but not your feet. And so would you catch me up here? Okay. I'll try to remember to move my feet when they need to be moved. You know, the theme of the conference is quality care, quality staff equal quality care. And you know, I was thinking this morning, how do you kind of kick this off? And it hit me. I don't think there's anyone, and I'd say this if Bob Siebel was not my friend, who is a role model for taking care of staff. Don't you think? He takes care of you guys pretty well, wouldn't you say? I don't know anybody that goes the extra mile to put these conferences together every year, sometimes twice a year, right?
Always.
Yeah, and he only invites me to one every now and then.
Issue.
Yeah, but it's great to be back. And when you're talking about, and I'll share a little bit, I thought I had an hour, and then I saw 2 hours, so in a little bit I'm going to give you an update on my situation, would be the word for it. But you know, last year I was bald-headed, and coming off chemo, my last chemo treatment, but I tell you, the steroids and the morphine, those are the best drugs made. Those steroids make you feel like Superman. So I need to look at that tape of last year. I think I probably said some things I should not have said. As I think back. But I'll get to that in a minute. But I just kind of, you know, I thought, do I have a service quality or a staff story about meeting the needs of customers, so to speak, or employees? And I got one. I'll never forget it. This happened in St. Joseph, Missouri. By the way, I'm from Missouri, and or Missouri, depending on what part of the state you're from. And so I go in, it's a Perkins restaurant, and I used to do a lot of business there. In fact, I was executive vice president of the Heartland Health System at that time, and so I had a lot of employees that I had responsibility for, so I had influence on where people go eat food. And so I had a lot of meetings, and they kind of knew me at this restaurant because I'd have meetings there. And so I was sitting there one morning, and it was a new waitress, and she comes over, and she says, "What would you like?" And I thought for a minute, and I said, "I'd like some grapefruit juice." "Okay, what size?" "Well, what size do you have?" "Well, we have little 6 ounce, and we have 12 ounce. And I looked at my water glass, and it was 8 ounces about. I said, "You know, I'd like some grapefruit juice in a size of my water glass here. That'd be great." "We don't have it." And so I'm trying to, I said, "What?" And she said, "We don't have it." And I said, "You don't understand. You can charge me what the large would be, the 12 ouncer. This morning, I just want that much juice. Just put it in my water." "We don't have it." I said, "Okay, just bring me some juice. Bring me the large." After dinner, I realized, I go to the manager, who I've gotten to know, and I said, "Hey, Steve, let me tell you what happened this morning." And I give him the whole spiel. And I said, all I wanted was some grapefruit juice in an 8-ounce glass. You know, you can do this, can't you?
We don't have it.
Yeah. That's good. He probably did say that. And he said, I said, do you have focus groups? Doesn't the customer come first? I'm laying it on. He said, thank you, David. We'll talk about this. I said, so 3 weeks later, I come in to Perkins and sit down, and it's a new waitress, okay? And she comes over. What would you like? I said, I'd like some grapefruit juice in the size of my water glass. And she looked at me with this shit-eating grin. He's the guy. And she looked at me and she said, okay. So afterwards, meal's over, and she comes up, and I said, I just want to thank you for bringing my grapefruit juice the way I wanted it. I really appreciate that. And she said, yes, it's not on the menu. And then 3 weeks later, believe it or not, guess what?
It's on the menu.
It was on the menu. And I, that's great. That's responding to needs, And I was back a couple of years ago, and the company evidently had a new menu, so they still had small and large. But for a while, they had medium. And I asked the manager, I said, how's that doing? How's the product? He said, it's our best-selling juice. Well, anyway, it's all about, meeting people's needs, and I just want you to know that you guys know a whole lot about staff and caring for others, and you should never discount the quality care you give to particularly family members. Over the course of my 50 years of adult life, I've cared for my great aunt who died in my arms in a nursing home. I cared for my my grandfather who died next in my arms in a nursing home. And then my grandmother, whom I loved the most, she died at 99. I drove 200 miles an hour trying to get to the home, and I walked in. It was a Catholic home, and the nurse said, come, David, come, come, come. And I got there and held her and said, I love you, and in 10 seconds she died. Yeah. That's special. And my mother died in my arms in a nursing home. And I gave them all really good quality care. I was good, I'm really self-righteous about it, a little haughty, but it's pretty good. And then I have five children and 4 grandchildren with another grandchild next month named Oliver. And I've cared for them. Just like the point is, you got to think about all the care you've done for your loved ones. I've helped through asthma and juvenile arthritis, and the STD infection was really hard. That took a lot of skill.
Bend over.
And then my brother's alcoholism and other family members with alcohol problems too, and who knows what else. And these grandkids got their special problems. My 18-year-old grandson stole some pumpkins Halloween. Got arrested. Not caring for him. But you do that too. And my care has been really good. And I bet yours is too. And I can't thank you enough for your prayers and your support during this journey. Emails and letters and stuff have really been neat. And Bob, you know, he shows up in my home. I'm here! When I was going through chemo. He said, all right, tell me what's going on. And we had a great visit. And I'm glad he's not here. He stepped out, good. Because what was really healing with him was his infectious laugh, right? And it meant a lot. So the point is, you know a great deal about delivering quality care. And for the last year and a half now, I've been a recipient of care. A primary care doc and his nurse and other staff, a ENT surgeon and his staff, a radiation oncologist, 3 medical oncologists and all of their staff, 2 pharmacy clinics and their people, and a palliative care team now that includes a physician and a nurse and a social worker and a chaplain, and they're really good at what they do. And I add you to that list, and I've got a family support system that's just unbelievable. No one could have. I have more people caring for me than many of you have employees for whom you have responsibility. So I'm a lucky guy. But my oncologist, he's, I press him, you can imagine. And I said, okay, how long I got? He said, David, I think the cancer will return in 6 to 12 months after chemo. And I said, okay. And he said, then we'll just see when it comes back and decide what to do. I said, all right. 14th month, right here. Hey! And I'm feeling good. And this last year has been the best year of my life. I can't begin to tell you. And it's given me meaning and purpose, and I've gone very public, as you know, about my cancer and decided, there are 3 responses I've learned about it. There are those people who withdraw and disengage. And depression is a typical symptom. And that's the largest group. And the second largest group are those who are going to fight it to the end, to futility. And that's sad. And then there's my group, which is a much smaller group. And I'll tell you about that just in a second, where I've decided to be into living and not dying. You got to die of something. And guess what? Everyone does it. There's 100% mortality of human beings. It's amazing. And so it's my time. But what I want to do is, since I've gone public about this, and every time I mention it and it comes up in a conversation, everyone, how many, for example, how many of you in here have a family member, a friend, employee that has struggled with cancer? See, look at this. It's unbelievable. And sadly, one of the homes here, I don't know if I can say, Edgerton, Farrell's, ADON, Joyce, recently has cancer, and serious, and she's withdrawn and disengaged. And what do? It's the 2nd leading cause of death in America, and we're not doing really too good in taking care of it. We hear a lot about breast cancer, and that's good. And the campaign with the pink ribbons, fantastic. But it's a cunning, baffling disease. And so let me kind of, what I have decided to do is commit my life this year, the rest of it, of telling people and teaching people, medical students, nurses, and many others, and family members, and about the journey, and to be very open about it. and it's really been wonderful. So I had Kristen load 4 or 5 slides, maybe 10 or 12. And I'm going to go through them real kind of quick to give you an idea of what I've been doing this last year. And just assume that it's my way of caring for you, okay? And meeting maybe your needs, because maybe this will be useful to you someday. It's a remote.
Yeah. Okay, so that's forward on the left side.
Over to the left side. What I have is nasopharyngeal cancer. It's right behind the nose. It's spread to the lymph nodes and widespread to the bone. And it is stage 4. And the interesting thing is I was at Bob's house 4th of July weekend in 2011. And we were having a great time. And I was putting luggage in the back of the trunk, leaving. And I said, boy, my back, it just really hurts. And I didn't tell him at the time, but I felt when I'd shave every morning, I'd feel these little bumps. And nobody else could see them. And I'd had some basal cells removed 3 years before this, and I thought, well, it's just scar tissue. And so I ignored it. In the meanwhile, my back is hurting me, and at work I changed my chair 3 times, thinking, you know, it's the chair. Because up to that point, I was riding a bicycle. I'd ridden a bicycle 72 miles as part of a coast-to-coast effort to raise attention to Alzheimer's disease. So I was in pretty good physical shape. And then I went in to my doc, and he said, yeah, David, you got some swollen lymph glands here, and we ought to check those out. And so all I have to say to you is you should probably never ignore any kind of new thing that you've not experienced before. And that's been the case in this whole journey, like, ooh, that's never happened. And I should have paid attention to it. For 4 days, I was going to be in that group who fights it. My daughter, not the one with STD, was going to produce a website for me called David versus Cancer. And all my friends said, by golly, David, if there's anybody who can beat this stuff, you can do it. And you know, I thought, okay. And for 4 days, I know exactly, 4 days, I'm staging a battle of war. I'm going to take this on. And my primary care doc, who's also my closest friend, said, my dad wants you to call him. His dad is 92 years old. He's quite a guy. And we all love older people, right? And I thought, okay, I'd put it off. Finally, I called him. Hi, Fred, it's David. About time you called. You got a pencil? I said, wait just a minute. What is it? He said, 1, don't panic. 2, don't fight it. 3, relax. 4, accept it. It is what it is. Now you think about that, David. I'll call you back in 2 days. Wow. It was like a ton of bricks just lifted. I thought, yeah, I don't need to fight this thing. Now that doesn't mean not to have treatment. But I need to focus on living, not dying. And that's what I've done. I've accepted it, and it is what it is, and life goes on. And I'm having a good time. That's why I came here, see you guys. I still don't understand why Bob invites a person who doesn't drink and is a Democrat.
It's how accepting we are.
So how did the conversation go with Fred 2 days later?
Yeah, oh, very good, Steve. It was great. He's into Zen. I'll talk about this in a moment. But Zen and Buddhism and Eastern philosophy.
Okay. 92?
Yeah, 92, yeah. And he is quite expert in all that. I would call him a master Zen guy. And I've been kind of studying Zen for about 6 years. Just, you know, Zen is compatible with any faith, any religion, okay? It's not a religion. It's not dogma, doctrine, or creed. It's kind of a philosophy in how you live your life, all right, and has a long history. And so it's compatible with my Christianity, and found it extremely useful. And so that's what it's been ever since. I talk to him regularly. He's a teacher. I'm the novice. Didn't read about it. People said, David, you're a scholar. What do you mean you haven't read about it? I said, I don't want to read that stuff. It's scary. You go on the internet and start reading about cancer, man, you get down really quick. And I decided, I'm not going to read it. I wish I had read about chemotherapy, because as good as my oncology team was, it was not proactive in terms of patient education. It was reactive. It was only when the problems surfaced that they came to help. But no one told me what to anticipate over 6 months of grueling chemotherapy. I had transfusions, blood transfusions and magnesium transfusions, and I still have the effects of it, and my hearing is shitty, it's bad, and my hearing is really gotten worse, and that's a common, and chemo brain is really bad. I was telling Steve the other night, remember no, y'all don't. There used to be a guy called Ed Sullivan, and regularly on his show was this guy who would get plates spinning on a stick. Maybe you've seen this somewhere. And he'd get 15 plates spinning and put them on this little panel. And then the first one would start wobbling, and he'd run back and get it going again, get it going. He'd get all 15 going around, going around. And that's the way I was a year and a half ago. I could do 10, 15 projects. I'm a multitasker. Yeah, half of them aren't worth a darn, but I do pretty good. Today, I can do 1 or 2. And my wife says, I think it's 1. And sometimes I just stop. So I could have been talking here this morning and just go blank. And I have to stop and think about where I'm going with that. And Kajib, I know there's a lot of controversy over chemo brain in the literature. I have read a little bit about that. But it's a real thing. I don't know what you think about it. I'm a living testimony. It's real. And so, chemotherapy, I wish they'd been proactive. My moment of fame was going to CBS, to be on CBS this morning with Charlie Rose. And I love that slide because it proves that I was there. And they picked us up in a limousine. It was unbelievable. Put us up in a 5-diamond hotel over Central Park, and it was really a great experience. I was not your typical patient. And that is O'Doul's. I have no problems with O'Doul's. The cancer center did, but it didn't matter to me. So chemo was quite an experience. Cancer is a progression, I've learned. It's a series, it's a trajectory of decisions, and each one, I mean, a plan of care. You know, in the nursing home now, you have to change your plan of care. In fact, by regulations, every, what is it now, 6 months or whatever. Well, with cancer, every little change, you change your plan of care. My next PET scan is going to be in a couple of weeks, and I'm a little nervous about it. The anxiety over a PET scan is huge because you don't know if it's back or not. And so if it's back, I've got another series of decisions, and I've already decided ahead of time that I will not do another round of chemotherapy. And you have to make these decisions, or else you're going to be sucked in by the healthcare culture, who will want you to treat you forever. And I do know enough to know the second round is not as good, and I don't want to go through 6 months of hell to buy me 4 or 6 months, when I could say no and maybe have 10 months or so before it goes downhill. So physician trust is critical. That's my primary care doc and best friend. He bought me that New York beret when I was bald, and my caregiver is my wife. And what's unique here is she has been the quarterback of care. You know me, I ask every physician, everyone, who's going to be the quarterback? And they pause for a minute. I said, who's going to manage my care? There's a lot going on here. I'm going to see a lot of doctors, and I'm going to be going to a lot of clinics. And who's managing this? And the fact of the matter is, no one's really managing it. And but Debbie and I see it all, from the diagnosis to the deathbed. We see everything. And it's too bad that each one of these people that take care of me, they're very good at what they do clinically, but they only do their piece of it. And they don't get together to talk about how we're doing. And therefore, there's no process improvement. And that's why you have to have teams in your nursing home, to have everyone involved in the care. What's going on? How can we do this better? Life review is the best thing. You know, thank God for the camera and Facebook and email and television. This is a picture of the NCAA tournament in Omaha, Nebraska, where Mizzou was ranked number 2 and destroyed everyone's brackets in America by losing in the first round. So it's not a happy memory. But I can't tell you how much I focus on pictures. Never discount the importance of those pictures in the rooms of your residence. Because what they've done is to take the ones that are most important to them, because you know they have millions. And those are the ones they chose to bring to your nursing home. And wow, they mean a lot, whether they're people, places, or things. And you can tell so much about them from their pictures. And I know you know that. I just want to reinforce it. This is Chewy, and I knew Debbie's my #1 caregiver, but you know, in the end, I die and she's left alone. Some reward. And caregivers have it worse than anybody. And there should be 2 patients, not 1. Caregivers have to stay tight-lipped about what's going on and about their own frustration and their own pain, and crying in the middle of the night at 2 o'clock, and I've heard her do that, and it just kills me. And because others around the caregiver will think, my God, she's selfish. My God, he's dying. And all the attention is on the dying person. But let me tell you, it's Debbie that hurts the most. And there's 2 patients, not 1, and I tell docs that over and over, and others. And so, Chewy, we got Chewy. He's, by the way, the Affin Pinscher won the Westminster Dog #1 show this past year. And for the first time, and he's a hybrid Shih Tzu. I can't say that really well. Shih Tzu, Affin Pinscher. And we got him second chance dog online, drove to Kentucky to get him, and we love that little dog, and he will be my wife's companion. And he's also appeared in a number of videos. If you've been watching the teaching videos, there are a lot of comments about Chewy, not much about me. And music therapy. You know, they had these volunteers in the cancer center came in and played dulcimers. Oh, everything changed when they came in. The nurses came in, turned the lights down, it got quiet. It was great. Debbie and I can't agree on rock, or I'm a Rush fan. Okay, I know it might be strange, and also country, and she hates both. And, but you know those sounds of nature you can get and put next to your bed? We love those, and that works. Everyone asks me about my spiritual beliefs and how I deal with that, and I've learned not to say much, to keep that really private, because people I encounter have their own beliefs from A to Z, and some of whom want to tell you what you need to do, and I don't need that. And let me just say, I'm in a great place spiritually, and Zen has been extremely helpful to me. The neuropathy in the feet is really kind of bad. Right now I kind of feel my feet and they're numb and it's tingly all the time. And so I tried acupuncture. By the way, the chemotherapy cured all my fungus. Toes. That's a good deal. In fact, I've had 5 pedicures. You have to have huevos to be a man to go get a pedicure. Anyway, the cost of care is staggering. I know the insurance doesn't always pay what the charges are, but our charges are well over $300,000 already. Luckily, I have great insurance, but 50 million Americans don't. And therefore, they die early, or bankrupt, or both. And cancer is the #1 disease leading to bankruptcy in families. Sad deal. Well, that was a bit important. How do you go backwards?
The other side, the right side, at the bottom.
Because I want to.
Yep.
I wrote a book and published an ebook so a lot of people could have access to it. I'll shamelessly promote it in just a minute. You can read that. It's something I wrote trying to describe love. And that was my attempt. And I can just tell you that the relationship with my wife has reached a level that I think few people can ever attain. Oops.
You're going backwards, yeah. There you go.
This blog now has 67,000 hits to date, and a lot of those are yours. Thanks, and from 74 countries. And it does make me feel like I'm making a difference in some people's lives when you read the responses, which are really tearjerkers. And it's been worthwhile. This is the book. That's what the cover looks like. And there you can write that down.
Do you want to announce it?
And you will all get that. We have purchased, and we didn't get a dime discount, I will tell you.
Oh my God.
For a quantity purchase, we're such good friends, Yeah, that and $2 will get you a Starbucks. But anyway, we have purchased all of you his book. I've read it, and it will show up in a link.
In the next 48 hours.
I'm sorry?
In the next 48 hours, you will get a link in your email.
Yeah,
to the
and
book.
you'll be able to go on there, and you'll have access to the book. So,
Thank
each
you.
of you will get that.
That's great. I really appreciate that.
Yeah.
As far as the discount goes, this speech may not be worth anything, but I'm not charging you.
Touche.
Wrong figure. Okay, so we could go to the other slides and turn up the lights if we could do that just a little bit because of the other slides. Just raise them up a little bit. So this survey you guys had, I asked Stephanie if she would just come and stand up and tell us in a few minutes, remind you about this survey. And Bob asked me if I could make some sense of it. And I said, okay, I'll give it my best shot. And so, Stephanie, can you kind of remind people what this was about?
Sure. You all did a survey on the Silver Chair. All your employees responded to the employee survey. And it wasn't an in-depth survey, but we did receive the results. We did look at the results. And for the most part, not for the most part, it was a really good survey across the board. Resident care and resident focus was a huge part of the survey that people made the comments about. So it was evident that one of the main focuses of our employees is that they really do care about the residents in the building. So with the new, having Silver Chair going, hopefully we'll do some more and have them more frequent, and also be doing employment after they've been there for 90 days surveys that will start them after 90 days and then annually thereafter, so. But they were really good.
So when Stephanie and Bob asked me to kind of go through all that data and pick out, I decided, and I went through it forwards and backwards and upside down and read every qualitative answer and manipulated some of it. And I thought, you know, how do I really just get to the meat of it rather than just go through a lot of statistics? And I'm going to do that in a little bit. Let me, I feel very strongly about staff, and I totally feel, as I think you know, and you do too, that quality staff does equal quality care. Employees may not be where we are. Their needs may not be the organization's needs. And we got to find out what they are. And for 22 years, I think I've shared this with a number of you, but for 22 years I taught a course called The World of Nursing Homes in nursing homes. My students and myself spent long hours in wheelchairs and jerry chairs, and we ate, called them jerry chairs, that shows you how long ago, and ate the pureed food, and I would spend the night in a home every now and then, and learned that 2 o'clock in the morning is very different than during the day. And learned a lot of things and published a book called The Human Factor in Nursing Home Care. That was back in the 80s, and it did quite well. And what it did basically was to capture all these experiences, and my teachers all through all these years have been the residents and CNAs and housekeepers. Basically what I call the frontline responders. Good word these days, first responder, because they are. And if they didn't show up tomorrow in your home, there'd be chaos in 10 minutes. And they're so important. And their needs are so special. And I know you know that. But that's why we have to listen to them. And your survey does not give any surprising results to me, but they're very important results. And I can't help but think of one employee I met in one of these classes I was teaching in this home. Her name was Ruth, and Ruth would walk up and down the halls and never smiled, ever. And you know, someone like that makes me nervous. And it, you know, it just got on my nerves, you know, and I'd try to speak to her every now and then, and I'd get a nod maybe. Maybe going down the hall, she would look down, you know what I mean? She'd look down at the floor. And I thought, what in the world is going on here? And here's a really employee who doesn't like it here, who's unhappy, and surely would like to work somewhere else. And so I went up to her and I said, Ruth, can we go have a soda? Can I buy you a Coke? She looked, you know that look, like, what's up? Am I getting fired? You know. And I said, no, I just want to buy you a soda, chat. You know, we've been teaching this class all semester, and I'd just like to learn some things from you. Is that okay? We can go down in the lounge. You won't get in trouble. Okay. So we go down. Long story short, we're in the employee lounge, and we're the only ones there. And she's sitting in the chair, and I sit down up, buy sodas, and I said, Ruth, it's really none of my business, you know. But you really seem unhappy, and you, like, maybe you don't like working here. You not like your job? And by the way, I'm not going to talk to the administrator or anybody about this. I'm just curious. I've never seen you smile, and you know, it hurts me to see someone who's unhappy. And she just stared at me. Hear that silence? Just. I'm thinking, oh shit, I should never have brought this up. And I'm thinking, now how do I get out of this? And I said, hey Ruth, you know, this really is none of my business, and I'm really sorry. And you know, enjoy your Coke, and I'll be going. And I started to get up. She said, just a minute. I said, what is it? And I sat back down. That's more words than I'd ever heard out of her. She said, I clean these butts all day long. And at night I go home and I have 3 more little butts I've got to clean. I've got 3 little kids. And my husband, he left me a year and a half ago. And nobody right now is telling me they love me. She didn't say anything else. And I'm stunned. What do you do with that? And I simply said, I'm sorry. I'm sorry no one's loving me. I really am. It's got to be difficult. And I hope things get better for you. And thanks for sharing that. Sure, it explains so much. She just kind of nods. Well, thanks so much. I'll see you later. And I started to get up again. And she said, just a minute. I said, what is it? I love my job. This one mine? These old folks, you know, they'll just grab a hold of me and they'll pull me down to them and they'll say, honey, I love you, I love you, I love you. And they do, right? We know that. That's why staff love residents and hate you. And she smiled. God, I'll just never remember Ruth. Never forget Ruth. And you have employees like that too. And I know you do. And you know who they are. And they're special. And it's a reminder and leads into what I want to share about this survey. The needs of these employees are special. I appreciated all the speakers, but you know the one on solutions? Remember my comments back there about, why don't you have a CNA talk to CNAs? Remember that? You know, if you haven't been there on the floor, you just really don't know what it's like. And if you haven't been with other employees talking about how rough life is and how they have to go to court the next day and about their car that broke down and how they barely are making ends meet and they have 2 jobs, not 1 job, and it goes on and on. We don't listen to that, we're in trouble. So, let's see where I am here. Oh, this is probably what they thought when that survey came out. You know, oh my God, here's another one. Can you hear it? Hey, we know all we need to know, and what the deal, what the hell, and so on. Anyway, every culture, every nursing home has, I tried to think of an analogy for this, and I thought of temperature. You know, it goes up and down on some, even during one day, it can be, you know, cheery and down. One day, Joyce, when at Fair Oaks, when you found out the ADON had cancer, I bet it just really hit the bottom. And other days, somebody's celebrating their 102nd birthday and is alert, and you have a great party. And then you've got some employees that are all cheerful, and you've got those that are loud and hostile. You got to adjust it. You got to deal with the temperature. You got to deal with the remote as well. Yeah, did you do it? This has been documented so much, it can be a law. A scientific law is something that's true 100% of the time. And this approaches that. I don't know any data that refutes the fact that if staff satisfaction is high, resident satisfaction will be high. And we assume, therefore, the quality of care will be high. And the converse, of course, is true. If the morale is low, by golly, the temperature is going to be warm. So let's go on. And that's what I just said. The point is, it starts with taking care of the staff and meeting their needs. Okay? You want to go? When we talk about senior management, and in your survey, there are questions that are worded senior management, this and that. That's you. You are senior management. You are the administrator. You are the DON. And no other positions in long-term care are more important than those two. None. It's amazing how such an industry and each facility, it comes down to basically two people. I know you have a team and you have a staff and all of that, but you have a huge job. And the temperature in your facility is a direct reflection of your leadership. And sometimes you walk into a new situation and and you're new, and all of a sudden you've got to learn what the temperature is. And oh my God, what do I do with it? And change is ubiquitous in nursing homes. And the temperature does fluctuate often. And so, what do you do about it? And I want to be clear about one thing about quality of care, what we mean by that. So I put it here, social medicine trumps clinical medicine any day in a nursing home. And I can't say that enough. I know of the regs. I know them as, I know what they are, clinical tags, but they're missing the boat totally, as you know. Robert Kerrigan was a close friend of mine, dying of cancer at age 56 in a hospital several years ago. And I went in to visit him 3 days before he died. And I'm sitting next to him holding his hand, and we're talking about life and death and a lot of things. And it was a great conversation. And I know it's meaningful to both of us. And the nurse comes in. Can I come in? Sure. Looks right at me. Sir, I have a shot injection here I need to give Dr. Kerrigan. Would you mind standing in the hall while I give this shot? And I said, yes, ma'am. And I started to get out. And Bob Kerrigan says, wait, hold it. He said, nurse, I want you to meet David. This is my friend. His name's David Oliver. He's come to visit me today. And we're just having a wonderful chat. He's a very busy guy. And I just want you to know that the medicine he has brought me today is so much more important than the medicine you got in that syringe. Nurse, would you please stand in the hall until we're finished? This is a moment of truth. And smart nurse. She said, yes, I will. She was very touched by that, quite frankly. And she left. And we talked another hour, so I'm sure she went somewhere. That's a great story to remember that the social trumps the clinical every time. Older people that you care for know that they're going to die. And they know Dr. Kumar, you are not going to cure them. So quit feeling bad about it. Karen, what was the statistic? 53% yesterday? 53%, what was it? 53?
In 6 months.
Huh? Yeah, 53% will die within 6 months. That was it, in that particular study. We're all about death, which is why another reason I took some time with the other. And we got to get better at it, how we deal with it. I'm encouraged by hospice rooms. I'm encouraged by what some people call dying rooms, but they use a different name. That's our dying room down there. So I'm encouraged by a few things, but we can do better. So at any rate, it's the relationships that occur between staff and residents, and between you and your staff. They're important. Every one of your employees know how to love somebody, maybe not Ruth right now. Everybody. If no one's loving you right now, I'm sorry, but I hope it changes. It only takes one person to love you in spite of yourself. Someone who knows all the garbage about you and still loves you. That's special. And anybody can do it. So, this fix that I'm going to talk about in a little bit is easy. I looked up and down this data, and I thought, what are they saying? What are they telling us? And what I did, I took, I just threw that in. Before you get nervous about this, you know, you're going to always have staff that love you, and you're always going to have staff that hate you. So get used to it. Now, next one. Okay, so what I did, I took the top 5 responses, positive, the top 5 positive responses about do I like my job? Do I like it here? And then I took the bottom 5. We're talking about scores that range from 4 to 4.7 on a 5-point scale. There was one question that got 5, which is the highest score you could get, which I thought was remarkable. And so these really were people who are really happy and enjoy their work. And I took the top 5, and then I took the bottom 5 of what people were saying about what they did not like about their work. And I developed a scenario around each of those. Like, I'm thinking, how people are always talking about their work, right? And at home, to friends, even to strangers. And they'll go up and someone says, you work in a nursing home? Well, what's that like? And then you start telling them. And so I thought, based on these results, what would a positive person say in a conversation? And trust me, what they say to others becomes really important, especially in a small community. It can ruin you. So I took the positive and negative, and I've recruited some people from the audience. And you're lucky. I forgot. Heather, yeah. Heather has got the positive ones. And so I asked her to come up here, and she's had a chance to review putting these top 5 together, what she would say based on those responses. So Heather, if you'll come up here and be so good, and let's welcome Heather up here on stage. Don't let it bother you, but you're on candid camera right here.
Yeah, no trust.
Okay, so maybe I'll be just pretend that we're the person, the people you're talking to.
count on if you come to work here. There will be no question about understanding the nature of your work role. It is made very clear. But more importantly, you will have at least one and another coworker who you deeply trust. It makes coming to work enjoyable. I have no doubt about my contributions. I make a difference in the lives of others, and this gives me great pride and satisfaction. The company I work for helps me understand its mission and strategies for success, and being part of the team that delivers high quality care makes me very proud.
Then I took those were the top 5. And then I took all the other positive responses that didn't score that high, but nevertheless were positive. And so someone says to Heather, well, tell me more.
I have a great supervisor at work. She's open to hearing my opinions. She treats me fairly. And most of all, she values my talents and contributions I bring to my work. I get good training, and it all started with excellent orientation I have received when I was first hired. In addition to learning new things, I have been given the opportunity to grow as a person and advance my career, and my opinions count.
Great. Isn't that great? Yeah. Isn't that the employee you want out there, you know? Hey, man, and the number one thing you can count on here if you come to work here, there'll be no question about understanding the nature of your work role. That was every facility. Was number 1. It surprised me, actually. So you're doing a great job with that. Okay, and then we have those who, and put some feeling into it. You know, you're really an unhappy CNA, and yeah, Courtney. Courtney's going to come up and this is what she would tell you. Well, Courtney, how do you like your work there at the Fair Oaks?
You know what hurts the most? In the last 30 days, I have not received a word of praise for what I do. Given how hard I work each day, you would think I deserve more recognition than that. From time to time, given how little pay they provide me, and the culture benefits too, a few words of a job well done would be nice to hear. And the results of these surveys, well, forget it. Our senior management isn't going to do squat with them. They simply are not concerned about me and my problems.
And then there were more, those were the top 5, and then they added.
We get surveys from senior management all the time, but there's no way they will act on the results. When I want feedback, forget it. No one cares about my performance, and worse, they don't care about me as a person. Maybe if they knew all the problems I have, they might feel different. I would like to grow and develop in my work, but individual employees don't count, and my opinions don't count either.
Yeah, very good. Thank you very much. From the survey, what these 2 people said. So I got 2 of them here, what they had to, this is what they would say to someone.
Well, currently the staff is unbelievable, caring, compassionate, and hardworking. Some, however, are getting frustrated and are looking for other employment. They, and the rest of us, if I can be so bold to say, are remarkable individuals who truly care about the residents. We look to each other for acknowledgement of a job well done, and for companionship. And many of us have developed lifelong friendships. The administration, however, is slowly destroying what was once a good thing. Many ratings on survey questions have a perfect score of satisfaction to a 3, an expression of uncertainty. And worse, I have noticed that some employees are starting not to care.
There's, again, an example of a home that's really fluctuating in temperature, at least from this employee's view. And here's another one.
I really hate to say this, but at this point, this company is just a paycheck. I have been here for many years, and until recently, I was appalled at people who felt this way. But the changes that have been made and things taken from employees have put morale in the toilet, and I wish I wasn't, but I have been affected by them. I try to come in with a positive attitude, but within a short period of time, it is destroyed by either bad news or by other attitudes around me. Employees who never used to say a word are now speaking up, and what I hear is all negative.
Thank you. Let's hear it. You know, I was going to ask each of you, what do you want from your supervisor? You know, just think about it. Maybe it's your peers, maybe it's Denver. What do you want to hear about your work and about your contributions to the cause and to the mission and to the goals and the objectives? And you work so hard and you have all these problems. What do you want someone to say to you? Job well done. Way to go, Heather. God, that's great. I can't believe the job you're doing. Praise and recognition is the #1 thing that employees want, and your survey validates it all the way. And you can identify with that. Because when you don't get it, think of how you feel. And in our lifetimes, surely, you know, there have been times I have not been appreciated. Can you imagine that? Especially my political views. So I'm trying to figure out, is it working? I'm trying to figure, yeah, go through, go. And these are in your handout. You can read those scenarios, okay? Okay, go on. Go on. Go on. Go on. Okay, back. To fix. Back. Oh, there. Okay. Let's see what the one is right before that.
That one?
Okay. Okay, so if recognition is the #1 thing they want and could lead to great staff satisfaction, thus to resident satisfaction, how do you do that? And there are a lot of ways that have been done. I've got an idea that I want to share. Let's go on. No, go back. I've developed a scenario of what I think is the solution. That if, and I don't say this self-righteously, but I did do this myself. I'm not saying something that can't be done. And I'm not bragging about that, it's just that it works. And so I have 9 people, each with very short speeches. And this is what an administrator or a DON would tell you that has made them successful in having high quality staff. And so if you 9 people would come up here along the, right here, we're going to do that, and we need to line up by number. I sure hope this works. You guys.
Yeah.
You know what this is, right? I may not drink, but I used to be an expert. Okay, if we could get, all right, I'm going to get everybody on film here. But 1 through 9. Let's put 9 down here. 7, 8, and 9 down here. Bunny, your last, right? 7, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay. These are also on your handout, but think of all these people as one person. It's one person telling you, yes, it works at my place because this is what I do. And let's start.
Each day I set aside.
Let's really loud so everyone can hear.
Each day I set aside 1 hour from my calendar to walk around the facility, observe, and speak to employees and residents. This is my #1 priority, and all other responsibilities come second. Nothing takes precedence over this daily management practice.
I look for trash, or I look for things that need
I look for trash and I find it everywhere I go.
That's pretty true, I do that. I look for things that need improvement, pick up trash on the floor, and tidy up areas needing it. If something needs attention I cannot quickly address myself, I politely ask an employee to please handle it, and then when they have time.
When the opportunity presents, I will chat with one of the employees, asking them, how's it going? In my own way of conversing with others, ask them if there's anything I can do to help them with their work, or is there anything we can be doing better in taking care of our residents?
And then when it seems appropriate, I ask, is everything going okay on the home front? If a birthday, anniversary, or other important event is coming up, I later make note of it on my calendar to be sure I follow up.
If an improvement is suggested, I also make note of it and thank them for it. I also put this in my calendar to follow up with them on a future date, noting what I did with a suggestion and whether or not it worked. I explain why.
Finally, if the conversation seems to warrant it, I write a quick 3 to 4 sentence note to say, I enjoyed the chat and I appreciate the sharing, and have it delivered.
I do this every day and it has paid off in spades. Over time, my employees look forward to seeing me walking around and look forward to my chats. I try very hard to prevent anything that looks like favoritism and make sure I speak to employees who tend to have more negative attitudes as often as those with positive ones.
And finally, I follow the very same approach with the residents. When I encounter them, I ask them how it is going, what more we can do for them, and as I accumulate knowledge about their family and other tidbits, I add it to the conversation.
Doing these simple things has changed the culture in our home, and because I know everyone, employees and residents, well, I too look forward to these 1-hour priority visits. It has become the highlight of my day.
Great.
The key is every day. This is the first, now I know you walk around your facility, and I know you know employees, okay? I'm not dumb. I know that that's something you do, and I know it's probably something you do often. I'm talking about leadership in terms of, this is my first thing I have to do today, and it's a must-do in your calendar, and you protect that hour. You protect it from anyone that wants to come visit you, no matter how important. You say, I have another engagement, but I can meet you at 10 o'clock or whatever it is. And it's there, staring at you, right in the face. And it's every day. When I did this, and you can't pick the same people, of course, but there was an employee from Bosnia, and she couldn't speak English, and she was a housekeeper. And I would do my rounds every day, religiously. People looked forward after a while to my coming around. They really did. And I ended up loving going around. And I was nervous at first, believe me. You may think I'm a real social kind of guy, but really, I'm a shy guy. I mean, I know it's hard to believe, but it's true. Inside, I'm pretty shy. I used to be a little kid in the playground that stayed to himself. So you got to work at this. And I loved. I mean, it wasn't just oh, I got to do this every day. I look forward to it. And so this Bosnian lady, I would pass her in the hall, and she would look away because she knew she couldn't speak English. And I'd say, hello, and she'd go. And this went on for quite a while, and so on my rounds, I just kind of pass her and say hi. And then one day, she said, hi, Mr. Oliver. Whoa! Yeah, wow, that's great. That's great. You're learning English? How are you doing? And I said, well, keep at it, and good luck. And long story short, in 6 months, each day, when I'd pass her in the hall, she would add a sentence or two, and she was going to classes, obviously. And she was so proud of her ability to learn English. And of course, I would praise her every time. Keep at it. You've got a long way to go. But, you know, it's very honest. I mean, when you get praise, you also get very honest. People can tell when you're genuine or not. And you've got to be genuine, even if you have to share some harsh things. And what's really important in this scenario is the asking, you know, is there anything we can do better around here? I really value the opinions of you guys who are out here on the floor every day. Any thoughts? And they may give you an idea that's impossible, but you accept it, write it down. I mean, if they see you write it down, wow, you have no idea what that means to a CNA. They wrote down my opinion. And you go back and you make a little note in your calendar, tell Joyce thanks, but no thanks, thanks, but I can't do this, and why, And so you make a note on the rounds, you go back and give people feedback. And the part about anniversaries and stuff, it's very touchy about asking personal things. My story about Ruth is case in point. You have to be kind of careful. But if you can kind of do that without being intrusive, how are things going at home? And they may spill what's going on. And you can, if you know what's going on in someone's life, it makes a huge difference about how you relate to them. So I think that will work. And so I'm saying to those that already do this, keep doing it. For those that don't do it, and I'm talking every day, no exceptions. For those of you that don't do it every day, please give it a shot. Start doing it. And by the way, each little conversation you have with an employee, particularly if it goes well, they will tell 10 or 12 others on the floor. Heather stopped and talked to me and asked me what I thought improvements were. What's got into her? That's how it started. But I told her and she seemed interested. She seemed interested in that. And she told me one thing that they've tried to do, but maybe some other things are possible. Wow, my opinions count. And it just will pay off for you. It will. And trust me, I've tried incentive programs, I've tried reward programs, Employee of the Month programs, you know what I mean? Praise, all those. Some of those work for the first 3 or 4 months that you do it, and then they peter out. This is an everyday deal. And pretty soon all your employees will be talking about you, even the negative ones, because the positive ones say, hey, you had a chance. Did she ask you what improvements could be made? Why didn't you tell her? Or him. That's all I got. Have a great day. We're going to have fun this afternoon. Thank you very much.